Hello everyone, for today's video I'm at Bishopwearmouth Cemetery. I only noticed this particular section the other day and I can't believe in all the times I've visited here I've never noticed it before. And this is like another Commonwealth Graves Commission section. It's a bit away, it's a couple hundred metres away from the main one, but as you can see it's neatly laid out. So I'm just going to take a look at this particular area, bearing in mind it is Remembrance Sunday in a couple of days' time. So I just had a quick look and most of them seem to be from the Great War. There is G.E. Retallick, a private in the Tyneside, Scottish, died 29th of June 1917. A surname I've not come across before, possibly Scottish. 83rd Training Reserve Battalion, that's R. Hodgson, a private. Also got the sapper from the Royal Engineers, J.G. Elliott. Now if you have a look at the bottom, some of them have a little epitaph put onto the headstone. I hadn't realised, somebody told me the other day that you paid so many pence for each letter. I think, Stuart, if you're watching, I think it was 6p per letter. The family could get something engraved. Not everybody has one. Many do. Local regiment, the DLI, simple epitaph, at rest for J.E. Taylor. He was 24, J.G. Elliott was 42. Royal Field Artillery, N.C. Cranwell, Notts and Derby Regiment. The odd rose is still here, neatly maintained. There are hundreds of ex-soldiers, servicemen who were buried in here during the World Wars. Not just in, as I said before, not just in the Commonwealth Graves area. There's also many men mentioned on family headstones. G.B. Mustard, East Yorkshire Regiment. He died that we might live. So these words would have been chosen by the loved ones of the family. Lots of personal messages. Obviously some people may not have been able to afford them, or somebody may not have had a relative, or somebody just didn't want to. That's just a standard one. In loving memory of our only son, born June the 14th, 1897, died January the 8th, 1917. So he must have died in the war. Peace, perfect peace. That's a normal headstone. And that's G. Brown, the DLI. In loving memory of my son, forget him we never will. As years roll on, we love him still. You can just probably imagine the family after the war coming up here to pay their respects. Another DLI, West Yorkshire Regiment, Royal Engineers, Pioneer, there's a Pioneer. I think they're all Great War, from the Great War. King's Own Regiment, Light Infantry, Tyneside, Scottish. The Royal Field Artillery, the Hampshire Regiment. See. And there's one for RBF. Notts and Derby Regiment, 14th of August 1916, age 28. Memory like the ivy clings. And this is for L.J. Hazard. Hazard was a good Sunderland name. There's quite a few in the East End back in the mid 1800s, early 1800s. And a silent thought, a secret tear, keep his memory ever dear. This cemetery is absolutely huge. A lot of people don't tend to come down on this bottom end, with the eastern side, because there isn't actually, I think there's only one sort of rough path through. It's mainly grass all the way around, I think. So plus there's no roads in this bit, so I don't think it gets as much attention as some of the other parts. And that's for J. Steele, Royal Army Medical Corps, 6th of August 1916, aged 36. Not forgotten by his loving wife and son Tom, he answered the call. There was hundreds of widows after the Great War just in Sunderland alone. And then randomly, this one is for an affectionate remembrance of Ernest Emerson, a master mariner, born 1796, died April 24th, 1844. It's no relation, my M, just one M. Never, again, probably this got erected and then they decided to put these war grave ones close to it. But that's his sister of the last named, that was Elizabeth Annison, and she was born way back in 1792. Even though this cemetery was opened up in May 1856, there are some people who were born well back in the 1700s. Another local regiment, the North East, the Northumberland Fusiliers, that's V.A.E. Warwick. And with all these, you can see the emblem of the regiment. But just to give you some idea where we are, if you look over in the distance, that's Chester Road and Westlands. That's for W. Kerr, just 23-year-old, West Yorkshire Regiment, greater love hath no man than this. With some of these, sometimes a simple epitaph just says it all, really. That's for Private Jennison Taylor Surtees, Royal Army Service Corps, 23rd of March 1916, aged 32. In loving memory of my dear husband. That's a sergeant from the Northumberland Fusiliers, and that's T. Bailey from the Durham Light Infantry. You can see there, it's probably about 20 headstones there. Just going to have a walk on the main path, but now I'll show you somebody from a much earlier war who, that's some great names, like members of the Fogg family. I can see Pettinger. This particular headstone I'm going to show you now doesn't have nothing to do with the war, it's just a piece of work by Edwin Smythe, who you might have shown in some of my videos. There's mosaics and skilled lettering. There's a mention just a little bit further up here of, where's he at? Again, I'll give you an example of where people would add to the family headstone. That's that beautiful one I did the video about the father and the son. But next to it is one for members of the Scrafton family. If you have a look at that, there's a Gertrude Pretorius Scrafton who died March the 1st, 1901, age I think that's 1 or 4 years I think. Pretoria, she was born during the Boer War, so a lot of people would often give the middle names of places in South Africa. I've seen Ladysmith, I think Pretoria, and also there's a lot of people who got the middle name Baden Powell. There, look, Private George Scrafton, 22nd DLI, grandson of the R&M Scrafton, killed in action in France, July the 19th, 1916, aged 24 years. He answered the call. So again, he's not buried here. The family, at a later date, have added the name onto the back, so anybody walking past will know. And that's the thing with a lot of these headstones, they're there to be read. People didn't put stuff on them if they didn't want people to come and have a look at them and see the sacrifice they made. We're just going to have a walk up here. I'll see if there's any more war ones. It's a beautiful memorial. I said before, you don't get many, there's not a great deal of angels in the Sunderland Cemetery. There's a handful in each one. This is one for William Thompson, who died June the 28th, 1891. Dry up those tears and do not weep. My sufferings now are past. You gave to me your kindest aid so long as life did last. And at the top from a wife to a husband. It's always a shame when a headstone is damaged. This one's only got half of one. The top half's long gone. That's a good Scottish name. Bahari. If I remember correctly, I think he made nautical equipment and taught sailors how to navigate. So if you're a Bahari in Sunderland, you're probably related to that particular family. This one is for a famous 1800 Sunderland politician. It's actually the MP Andrew White. It doesn't give any clues to who he was, the life he had. He's somebody, if you just go onto Google, Andrew White, I think his nickname was the Honest MP, and that was his wife with the lovely name Ophelia, widow of the post. So if you Google Andrew White, MP Sunderland, you get a lot about him. I hope we can find that headstone. It is. As you can see, all the leaves are brown. I think that's a song there. The gentleman who is buried at this spot took part in a war which was a foretaste of what those men suffered in the Great War I just showed you before. This is erected by Jane Hartford in memory of her beloved brother, Sergeant J.M. It was James McFadden of the Royal Artillery, a native of Carlisle who was engaged at Sebastopol, Inkerman and Alma in the Crimea born May the 25th, 1827, died August the 16th, 1856. So Jane was originally from Carlisle as well. She came to Sunderland and ran a shop with John Hartford. I think it was like for sailing gear and bits and pieces. It's a lovely little epitaph. O death, where is thy sting? O grave, where is thy victory? Her brother, she must have loved her brother dearly to erect this in memory of him. He was seriously injured in late 1855 at the siege of Sebastopol. There was lots of trenches and stuff like that during the particular siege and in the Crimean War and bombardments and so on. The artillery train he was with took a direct hit, so he was seriously injured. He'd always been injured, I think, the year before. So, judging by August 16th, 1856, when I looked into him, he had actually come to Sunderland. Well, Bishopwearmouth it was at the time, the bit where he lived, because his sister did live at Johnson Street, South Johnson Street area. So I've always suspected that he came here, pensioned out of the army, and came to be looked after by his sister. But he wasn't an old man. He wasn't an old soldier. 1827, 1856. What's that? 29-year-old. I think he died on Durham Lane, which is down here at the university on Chester Road, around that area. So he could have just died of any Victorian disease like TB or something like that, but whatever it was, it would have had an impact on his health, that injury out in the siege of Sebastopol. So that's Sergeant McFadden of the Royal Artillery. There's a couple of other Crimea veterans buried in this particular cemetery. I might do videos on a couple of them in the future. And just to finish the video off, I'm just going to go across to show you the main Commonwealth grave section. Always immaculately looked after by the Commission and the volunteers who also help out, I believe. But what I mentioned before about the epitaphs, somebody from the Royal Air Force, 1946, 1946, 1947, 1947, a lot of World War II. I'll just read one last epitaph before we go. Sweet to the memory, dear to our hearts, our love to your memory shall never depart. That is for W. Smith of the Durham Light Infantry. A lot of these people, there's a lot, the history's well documented. If you just Google any of the names, there's lots of websites which have like details about their lives. Not all of them. You'll find some people who just never, there's not much about them. They might have just been in Sunderland for a short while or not had much family and little was known about them, but a lot of them generally have. That's how. This is for JWS Murray of the Royal Field Artillery. He died in 1921, aged 24, so I don't know where he was serving at that point. I'm not too sure if we were involved in the Russian Civil War, or well, it could be anywhere. It's just an accident. Sunshine passes, shadows fall, but sweet remembrance outlasts all. So I'll leave you with a view of the Commonwealth Graves Commission section of Bishopwearmouth Cemetery. So thank you very much for watching the video. If you did enjoy it, then please give it a like, and if you click on the subscribe, you'll get updates of future videos. So thanks once again for watching. Take care.